So tonight we are super excited to have Joyce stay with us. And so the reason that I asked Joyce to share with us tonight is that she has had a couple of trainings with Les Brown. And for those of you that don't know who Les Brown is, I highly, highly encourage you to go and search him. He's got an amazing Facebook group or a page, and he also has a website and different things, but he's one of the top motivational speakers. He's somebody that I've followed for years, and I have to say I'm super envious of you, Joyce. Like, oh my gosh, to be able to do what you've done. And what was really cool is last year when we went to the GoPro event, they offered this event with Les Brown for people to go and learn how to speak. And oh my gosh, Joyce just jumped in and she's like, I am doing this. And I was like, wow, that is gutsy. And that was very, very impressive for me. And so to be able to watch you over the last little while before you went to the Les Brown event, and just to see how you have blossomed, and you are just amazing. You're inspirational, and I just love you. And I'm super, super excited to have you be able to share with the rest of us what you've learned and what you're aspiring for and everything good that you have to share. So
Joyce she's 2 years ago when we first met her at convention, here's this little Joyce over there, just quiet and not saying a word or anything else. And then we went to GoPro and everything, and she would, every once in a while, she'd send me an email or a message on Facebook, and what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then we went to the GoPro thing, and she was like, well, I don't really know if I should go, and I don't know, I need to talk to my husband and some other things, and she just didn't know if she was going to go to the Les Brown thing or not. And then all of a sudden she just came up to us, she says, I don't care what my husband says, I don't care about anything, I'm going. And she went and signed up right there. It was pretty awesome.
Very impressive.
Oh,
She is on fire.
Yeah. I'm excited for this. This is a big part of where I feel like my calling is. So doTERRA, like so many other people in doTERRA, we hear people talking about on the Rising Tides leadership Zoom chat with Gina Truman a couple weeks ago. She talked about that she had these goals that she wanted to achieve in life, and she felt like doTERRA became a platform for her to be able to do those things. And so I feel like I've always thought about the idea of, I really, since I was a teenager, I really enjoy feeling inspired, and I love talking to people and having those deep conversations that maybe we both walk away feeling inspired. And so that's just something I've always connected with. And when we went to the GoPro in November, of course, Les Brown just reaches out and grabs you as far as inspiration goes. And then for him to offer these trainings where you can go and really learn how you can use your own story to inspire others, I just thought that was amazing. So, I don't feel like this is something I'm doing. I feel like it's something that's grabbed me and is just taking me along for this ride. So, I jumped in and I did the training in February with Les, and that was also in Vegas at the same venue that we did the GoPro. So GoPro, he just spoke like one time during a whole day. And then I did the one in February, which is just him all day, which was fabulous. A great way to kind of touch and get a feel for what he is working on and helping you move towards. And then he said at the end of that day, he pulled the same trick on me again and said, if you fill out this form and we'll give you a huge discount, you can come in September, but don't come in September unless, that one's not for sissies. So don't come in September unless you're really ready to work and dive in. And the thing is that, diving into public speaking and learning how to inspire people, you kind of have to, what Les is teaching you to do is to get in there and find those pivotal moments in your life and use those pivotal moments to have a shared experience with your audience. Well, the pivotal moments that resonate with me in my past are somewhat painful. And so, to dive in, it was emotionally very overwhelming. And so here in February, I spent, the break in the corner of the restaurant crying because it was just so overwhelming. And I just didn't see a way forward on how I was going to be able to share my story without it tearing me apart or tearing me down. And so I went to the September just a couple days ago, last Friday and Saturday, so 4 days ago. And I'm so grateful that I went. I almost backed out because my plane ticket was free and I got a huge discount on the Les Brown thing. And I had it was, how it goes with the business. We just got home from convention. It was a crazy week last week. And I was so tired. We had our team meeting Thursday. I was going to have to drive through the night to get to Chicago Airport. I got 2 hours of sleep. I would have been, flying. It was going to be crazy. And then 2 full days of training and then flying and having to drive home from Chicago. And it was madness. But I'm really grateful that I went because it was a turning point for me. And some of the things that I'll share with you guys tonight, I just feel like my heart's been opened and I see a way forward now. I don't know the details of it. I don't know exactly how it's all going to shake out, but I feel like the door was opened and now it's my job to just start walking. So I'll share some of the things that I'm going to do moving forward that I would encourage you guys to do too. So the point of this talk tonight is is about becoming a better public speaker. But a lot of what we're going to talk about is exactly relevant. You don't have to become an inspirational speaker or motivational speaker. It's about just becoming a better leader. In fact, a lot of the stuff that you read about with regards to becoming a better public speaker is also related to becoming a better leader. So all of this is relevant to our doTERRA business. And so you'll see that as we move along here. So one of the first things that I got out of the training this week that I really got it, I heard it last 6 months ago, but I got it this time, was that public speaking is not about me. Just because you're the one at the front of the room, it doesn't mean that it's all about you and what you want to say and what you want to do. And, did you say it right? And did you do this and that? It's not about me. It's about the audience. Public speaking is really about service. And so the way that Les Brown breaks it down is that your job as a public speaker is to distract, dispute, and inspire your audience. So this works just as well for your intro classes or for your business building trainings. Distract just means to distract people from, we all have these stories in our heads about what our lives are like and what they're supposed to be like and what's possible. And so we have these stories running through our heads all the time. So our job when we get people to any kind of an event, our job at first is to distract them with our story and with other inspirational, things that we want to say. And then we dispute their own beliefs. Now, I'm not talking, when I say dispute, I don't mean arguing with anybody. But by telling our story in a powerful way, it is a dispute. If someone comes to our business trainings with the belief that network marketing is a scam, that it's a pyramid scheme, that nobody makes any money off of it, that it's just it's a lost cause, then I'm here, by sharing my story, I'm here to dispute that and to show them that it's not, that those things aren't true. They're not true for me, and they're not true for the people that I know that are in network marketing. So we're disputing these beliefs that they have circulating over and over in their head. And then we look to inspire them. And inspire, this is not a Les Brown thing, but I've been reading some Wayne Dyer books. Of course, with his passing, all the books are on discount right now. I've read quite a few of them, but I picked up some extra ones with the situation recently. And one of the things that really stood out to me was that I can't remember which one of the books it is. I'll post on the event if anybody really wants to know the book, but I just started reading it. And in the introduction to the book, he says that there's a difference between inspiring people and motivating people. So when I hear about Les Brown, or if you think about self-help books and all that, it's referred to, I'm sorry, I have a hair tickling me. You hear a lot that they're motivational speakers. And when we think about when we're working with our teams, we want to motivate our teams to do things. Well, the way he described it, it makes perfect sense. When you think about motivating people, you're trying to get them to do something. Well, that's can be, a little bit self-centered or selfish, right? We're trying to get them to do what we think they should do. But when we inspire people, we're not telling them what they should do. We're not trying to get them to do anything. We are just telling a story in a way that they can relate to. It creates a shared experience. And if they feel inspired, then they're going to be inspired to do whatever they need to do. It's the difference between self-motivation and we want our leaders to just do their own thing, right? We want them to be inspired to take their own action and build their own business and meet their own dreams, right? Rather than us motivating them, come on, why don't, hold more classes? How do we get our leaders to do stuff? So there's a big difference there between inspiring and motivating. And I found that a powerful connection. I read that on the airplane on the way down there. So one of the things that we're always encouraged to do, so we have to distract, dispute, and inspire. The first step that we all come to with this is we're supposed to share our story, right? And so the thing we have to remember, and this was the huge aha moment for me, is that sharing our story is not the point. If we just share our story, we're just standing up there and telling a story. We have to think about the audience. That's about me standing up there telling my story. Okay, well, what about the audience? The way Les Brown explains it is that we want to build a bridge to connect with our audience. And so we're not telling our story for the sake of telling our story. We're telling our story, and we're only telling select parts of it. I used to tell my whole story about how I got involved with doTERRA. And I'm going to give you guys an example here in a little bit. Hopefully we'll have some time, and I'd like to give you two examples. I'm going to share my story the way I used to share it, and I'm going to give you an example to the best of my ability. I am very much a student here learning, but I'd like to give you an example of the way I'm moving towards sharing my story. So with that idea of you just need to use small parts of your story. So Les teaches us to do exercises. You go through these exercises in the trainings, and you're looking for those pivotal moments in your story that are super important. And you just focus in on those pivotal moments, and you're going to share them in a way that your audience hopefully will be drawn in and experience what you experienced. And then they truly understand why you're doing what you're doing, rather than me just telling you a chronological set of events. And so that's why I started my doTERRA business. Well, yay for you. But if I can get you to connect emotionally with why I did what I did, you're in. You're right there with me, right? And maybe your details are different, but if you can relate to the core feelings, then we're on the same page. Then we've connected and we can move forward somewhere together. So remember that whenever you stand up in front of somebody, you don't want to just tell a story. You want to have a point. So what is your point? You want to figure that out ahead of time. So if you're your point's going to change. If you're standing up in front of a business training group, you're going to have a message that you want your builders to receive, right? And so you pick parts of your story to allow you to convey that message and connect with them about that message. And so if you're dealing with brand new oilers, it's going to be a different point, right? And so Les always says, never tell a story without making a point, and never make a point without telling a story, because it's that important. But the story is not the message. We ran into this over and over and over again. We would do these exercises with our table, and we had 2 or 3 minutes where we had to stand up and give an impromptu little speech basically on a topic. And then we had to critique each other. And that's what, by the end of it, I got it. And I'm like, okay, look, you're telling a story, but you're not making a point. Your message is the point. And so you just tell the story to convey that message. And hopefully I'll give you a couple of examples here, at least one example towards the end of it. So hopefully that makes sense. It's hard to get it. You kind of have to hear it and practice it. And I'm even working on, there's some of the people from the group, and if any of you are really serious about this, you want to consider joining in with, that we're going to get like a Zoom chat going where kind of like Toastmasters, but with other network marketers, where we listen to each other maybe once every couple of weeks or something and critique each other as we tell our story or as we share a message that we care about. Okay, so the other thing he talks a lot about is that you're creating an experience for people. This is not about you. It is not about you, how many people are there, or how great your story is, or how powerful your story is, or how sad your story is. And that was a huge relief to me because it alleviated some of the emotional burden for me. I don't have to tell everybody every terrible detail of my past. I don't have to break out all the sad stories, and then I'm emotionally overwhelmed and I can't connect anymore, because then I have to go see a counselor for a couple of weeks to like get myself back to level. So it doesn't have to be like that. So I'm just, he says, you're orchestrating an experience. So you're just picking out those things. He says you don't have to go into the horrible details. If you can find a way to convey it that just conveys the emotion of it even, then you still have them. And he talks about there's physical things that you can do, and I'll talk more about those at the end, that help you convey that point. So I can talk about it was very hard. It was a terrible time, and it's my face, and it's my voice, and it's the way I hold myself. And maybe I can allude to a few things. I can give a few details, and those things, people can connect with that. And it didn't have to be, and then there were beatings, and then there was domestic violence, and then, all this, I don't have to horrify people. I just need to let them know the gravity of it and then move forward. So that was really helpful. And again, sorry, this is a little off track from the network marketing part of it, but you can do the same thing. You can talk about I feel like some pretty rough times with our business. And I know you guys do too. There's those days when you've really are questioning why you're doing this. And so if you're talking to business builders, you need to be able to convey that to them you don't want to be sitting there going, yeah, it was terrible. And then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then so-and-so quit. And I was like, man, this sucks. You don't have to go into all the nitty-gritty details. You can just say, yeah, it was really hard, and I really had a hard time with it. And then allude to a few of the challenges. And then you move past those emotional lows and bring them back out of it. It's an experience of take them in, connect with them emotionally on what the situation is, but you got to bring them back out of it again too. If you're just telling a chronological story, you're not connected with your audience. You're not taking them in and out of an experience. You're just chronologically telling them a story. But with connecting with them, with creating an experience, with being a good public speaker, you take them in, you connect with them emotionally, you hopefully create an experience for them, and then from that, you take them back out again. So you're their leader, right? You're just taking them in there, doing this thing, connecting with them, and then bringing them back out into the positives, into the, back to the message. I'm connecting with you. We're both feeling this. It was really hard. And so I had to make a change. The message is, man, I had to make a change. I had to do it different. I couldn't do it anymore. That's the message. So I'm telling my story. It's hard. It's heavy. And so that's why. And they hopefully are connecting with that, and they get it too. And so that's why I had to make a change. I can't do it anymore. I can't do that job anymore. I had to find a way out. And then you carry on with your message, which is the power of network marketing and all that sort of thing. It's the difference between just talking and sharing an experience. We really want our audience to feel something, experience something. Okay. I already talked about that. Being brief. So he kind of gets into some of the nuts and bolts. It was fascinating. So this last training last week was only, there were hundreds and hundreds of people at the training in February, maybe even close to 1,000. I'm not sure. Huge ballroom, tons and tons of tables of 10 people. So I'm sure there was a lot of people there. And then this one was very small. There was only around 90 people at this one we just did. So Les was right in there with us, walking the room, talking to us, listening in to people sharing. And he would go into the nuts and bolts of what he does. It's fascinating. He's not winging it up there. He has purpose to everything he does. If you've seen him speak at all, and it gives me a better eye for even the doTERRA speakers. And for Kane Podesta, who was at Leadership, if you were there for that, she's a great public speaker. There's purpose in everything that they do. The inflection of their voice, whether or not they walk the room or not, hand movements, facial expressions. It's really fascinating. There's a lot of skill behind this. It's not just standing up there and sharing a powerful story. They really are doing a lot of things. So he talks about being brief. The best speakers make the fewest words go the farthest. So there's a lot of effort that goes into your talks. I think with doTERRA, and I know for me personally, and it's not just doTERRA, I think anywhere you've got people stepping up into a speaking environment, a lot of times we're tempted to wing it. And so we kind of know what we want to say, and we get up there and we just kind of go for it. And sometimes that turns out okay, and sometimes it doesn't. But I think that we would all be a lot more careful. It's like if you've heard Eric Worre's Go Pro book, he talks about the serious effort he put into that speech that he did back in the 90s, I think it was. I see you nodding, Romy. He worked his butt off on that speech, and he rehearsed it and he rehearsed it and rehearsed it, and he had it narrowed down to minutes. And Les talks about that. You can take a story that you've practiced a million times, and you can shorten it down and get it done in 3 minutes, and you can fill it out and get it done in 10 minutes. And he said he can do it now down to the minute. You give him 3 minutes, he can do a talk in 3 minutes. You give him 20 minutes, he can do it. He's that good. He's practiced and rehearsed so much. And so I would encourage you as a doTERRA leader, because that's what we all are, no matter where we're at in our business, you want to start thinking about putting a little bit of work and effort into your speaking opportunities. And so think about, this was another thing that he really drove home a ton, is it's not about you, it's about the audience. And so so he's even gone in, if he's going to speak, and this man's been paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for like an hour for speaking. So what he takes that very seriously. He doesn't just wing it. Even this man, who has 1 million stories and 1 million quotes and can be powerful. I mean, he could tell me about the weather and probably make me cry, but he doesn't wing it. He goes in and he tells the story of some big corporation. I can't remember which one it was. They brought him in, and he was only going to be presenting for a very short amount of time. I don't remember how long, 20 minutes or 40 minutes or something like that. Not long. It's not like it was a 2-day training. So he went in and he flew in and he interviewed some of the CEOs and VPs of the company. And then he went in and talked to some of the people that were going to be at the training. So like the middle management type people. And then he talked to somebody else. I can't remember. It seemed like there was a third level of people that he spoke to. And so he used that. It's like recon. So he wants to get a feel for where they are and who are these people and what's important to them and what do they see the problems of the company and all this kind of thing. And it helped him get a good feel for the people that he was going to be talking to. And so that's a shoo-in, right? If you go into a situation where you know the type of people that you're going to be presenting to, think of the power that you have to be successful with that audience. because you've done your homework. So you can present to them much more effectively. So it's something to think about. If you know your own builders, don't think about what you want to say. Think about what do they need to hear. And you can even talk to them about that. Or if you've got, especially as you rank up, you've got your more experienced leaders. And so for me, sometimes I feel like I'm getting to the point where sometimes I wonder if I'm able to relate well to the super new people. Am I really, when I think about doing trainings for brand new beginners, am I thinking about it very well, because I haven't been a brand new beginner in a while. And I'm not your average typical person. I was a crazy type A personality who watched hours and hours of training videos. And so maybe I don't relate well to, there's a lot of other types of builders out there. And so I need to understand what they need. Me just saying, and I actually ran into this recently. I had a builder last year that quit and told me she was just going to take some time to get to know the products more. And then I found out that she had gone to another team and was studying with them. And so I after I heard about it, I went on a walk with her, and we eventually got down to it, and we talked it out, which was great. But I had to realize, if somebody tells me, Tracy or Romy or Lynn tells me, hey, Joyce, you want to know more about whatever, there's some YouTube videos, or sometimes a lot of times they don't even have to tell me. If I need to know something, I just go find it. But there are a lot of people that don't operate like that. And so if you're a big leader and you're putting on a training for your team and you're that type of personality and you just have that expectation of, well, you should just go out and find it all, you're going to provide very different information than what your potential builders might actually need. So talk to your leaders who have different personalities than you, and maybe vet out, what do you feel like your beginner builders might need? So that's just a suggestion. That's what I'm doing anyway, for what it's worth. Okay. Some other things that he talked about was developing your skills. It takes practice. It takes study. Study your audience. He says that when you're doing a presentation. In fact, it's kind of interesting. I can see Romy and just a few people here. And so this isn't the best interactive environment, but if you're doing a talk, practice your talk ahead of time, and then watch for those things that the audience connects with. If something makes your audience laugh, you can study that. You can understand, especially if it's something you didn't expect to make them laugh, or maybe you say something that you think is going to make them laugh and it doesn't. Try to study what you're saying and the effects that it has on people. If you're putting out what you feel like is an emotional, deep, I'm looking to connect with you kind of a thing, and it's like crickets in there and people are looking at their watches, that is an indication that might be something you need to work on. Maybe you're not conveying your connection there. Something's going on. But if you're not paying attention, if you're just up there and you're just pouring your heart out and you're not paying any attention to what the audience is going through, that you're not building a bridge. It's all about you. You might as well be, you're not connecting with them. And the point is the connection. The point is not that you told a great story and you teared up and it was amazing for you. It's more important that it's amazing for the audience. So one thing they stressed a ton was to get a mentor. And I know that's difficult because it's not like there are fantastic public speakers just running around all over the place. So get a mentor. He says most speakers, I found this fascinating, most speakers never become as skilled as they could be because they get too many compliments from untrained eyes and ears. Interesting, huh? So I think many of us, especially as we rank up, we get fairly comfortable at doing a decent job. But what kind of a speaker could we become if we found somebody that knows what they're doing and can look at your talk and say, you could do this better, or think about this, or, maybe instead of talking all about this over here, look at your audience. They're all staring at their phones, things that they're going to be there helping you. So mentorship is huge. Find someone that will truly listen, that's trained, that will give you feedback to improve on. Les Brown still has a mentor that was there. He did the training with us. His name's Mike Williams. And he still tells him, he joked that he brought him a DVD set a while back. And he's like, oh, Mike, did you watch that DVD? And this guy, Mike, I guess they have years going back 40 years of Mike never sparing Les's feelings. And so Mike never commented on the DVDs. And so eventually they're out together face to face, and Les says, hey, what did you think about the DVDs? You haven't given me any feedback on them. And he said, so what do you think? Should I just throw them out? Are they garbage? And Mike, I guess, is more the quiet, reserved type, kind of blunt. So he said, no, don't throw them out. And they keep walking for a minute. He says, I think you need to keep them and look at them every once in a while, so to remind yourself of what you should never do. And this is recent. So even Les Brown, apparently, we all need some positive feedback. So I thought that was pretty funny. He says, never let someone teach you who is not experienced, professional, and making good money at what you want to do. That's pretty interesting, huh? Whatever you're working on. I mean, that's like the golden rule of life. You want to find somebody that is experienced, professional, and making good money at what you want to do. The best speakers are the best listeners. Listen to your audience, study them, listen to their listening, and make your changes from there. Remember that you're not supposed to fit in. You're supposed to stand out. And this is an important one for me, because I feel like I go back and forth where I'm like, yeah, I want to be a leader, I'm out there. And then, I actually get to a public event like convention or somewhere where it's not just my team, it's a bigger world. And all of a sudden I'm like Mission Impossible down the, I feel overwhelmed by the experience of it. And I feel myself pulling back, trying to stay under the radar. So we're not supposed to fit in. We're supposed to stand out. I thought that was fun. Let me see if I've got, I'm sorry, I'm referencing notes here. This is all still swirling through my head. I have 2 notebooks, one from the last one and one from this one that I pulled my notes from. So let's see. And then the last thing I want to talk about is that, he talked about energy signatures, and that everybody out there has their own energy signature. And I think this is true about network marketing in general, but it's true for public speakers as well. Les's goal is now, as a longtime successful public speaker, he's achieved so many great things. He makes, tons of money doing this thing. You kind of think he's arrived at this point. He could just sit back and relax, but that's not his intention. His goal is that he talks about everybody has a voice and everyone has an energy signature. And there are people out there that I could stand up on a stage and I'm going to resonate with a certain group of people, and they're going to synergize with my energy signal, and they're going to get me, and I'm going to be able to reach them and help them have that experience. But there's always going to be people in your audience that they just don't resonate with me. And so, but with Romy, you put her up on the stage with her energy signal and her body language and her story and her message, and they're going to resonate with her and they're going to feel it. And you're going to be able to change lives. And so Les's thing is he really believes that everyone has a voice, and he wants to put out help as many people become inspirational speakers in whatever way that works for them as he possibly can. So he's got all this training going on and a platinum program where you can come in, and he's starting to build his own little group of speakers, and he's helping them find places to speak and things like that. So that's pretty exciting. But just remember that, no matter how excited you get about public speaking, and whether it's in the scope of your business or it's something bigger than that, maybe you have goals beyond doTERRA, that, your voice is needed, and that there are people out there, and Les says this, and it just gets me every time. So I've got to give it to you guys. So hopefully it'll get you too. There are people out there waiting to hear from you, and they're not going to hear that message, whether it's about oils or their health or about the business opportunity or just about something else. They're not going to hear it from anybody else except for you. So you have to suit up and show up and do the work and keep practicing and get better so that you can find those people and help them. And I just think that that's so awesome. And that's great thing about network marketing is that we can all find our own success because we're all working in different groups of people that are going to resonate with us. Okay, so the last couple of things he kind of talked about, emphasized, is Toastmasters. He says that anybody who wants to be a leader or a public speaker, that really, you know, it's kind of a given that Toastmasters is cheap, but it's one of the most effective ways to build your skills as a speaker and a leader that are out there. It's organized. You get a great feedback mechanism with people that are trained. So like, how do you find a mentor? Toastmasters is a great place to find a mentor, and not just one. You get a good group, you connect with them, you do presentations, they train you on stuff, and they'll help you with all those technical details that he alluded to, but he can't teach us that in a day or two. So Toastmasters will, week after week or every 2 weeks, you do presentations, and they actually give you feedback on how many ums you said and how many waving your arms around, and how waving your arms around is kind of distracting and people can't listen to your message because you're moving too much. It was a lot of fun. He did give some feedback on that, which was very amusing at the time. Of course, I only had 2 hours of sleep, so everything was kind of funny while I was in there. What do they say about being super tired? It's like driving with a blood alcohol level of so much. I can relate to that. I get a little giggly when I'm tired, so. And then the other thing, I said, sorry. They said to use your power voice. Don't say and just remember that everything is strategic. Your voice, your body language, whether or not you walk around the room or not, whether or not you walk around the stage, how you hold yourself while you're talking, your facial expressions, everything matters. So, but I feel like those are details that, like I said, you're going to get from Toastmasters, and that's going to take a lot of time to develop. So that's what I put together for summary of notes. There's tons and tons of inspirational quotes and things that just smack you upside the head with how brilliant they are. I mean, I could probably put together like a summary of Les Brown quotes of things that he said in here that are great, that you could learn and share and use in your speaking if you want to. So I will go ahead and I'm going to tell you my story the way I used to tell it. And then I'm going to tell you my story the way I want to tell it, to the best of my ability. And I'm totally on the spot with this. So, I'm going to kind of fumble it a little bit, but it's all entertaining. I'm pretending that I only see 2 windows. So I'm pretending there's really only 4 of you guys watching this. Okay. So what I used to say is, I'd say, well, I first was invited to doTERRA in November of 2013. I had a little girl about 3 years ago, and I met Lynn Fingerhut at a maternity, like a mom's group. And so Lynn and I had this fantastic 20-minute conversation, and we talked about gardening, and she was very pregnant with Clayton, her second little boy. If you haven't met him, he's super cute. And I had just had Ella, my little girl. And so we had this great conversation. We friended on Facebook, and then we didn't talk again for 1.5 years. But we liked each other's posts sometimes. And then in the meantime, I had Ella. I went back to work the next week. And I'm a hydrogeologist. That's my background. I specialize in groundwater contamination. Love my career, love my job. It's great. But my job, I pretty much was kind of a one-man show there. And so I struggled I really struggled. They took my vacation time when I went on maternity leave. They took my vacation time for the year. So I had no vacation time, and I had Ella in March, and had to get through the whole year with an infant, and a very stressful. I usually worked between 40 and 50 plus hours a week, plus travel and field work and all this kind of thing. And it was just really, really difficult. And so by the September of the following year, about 1.5 years later, I was praying for a way out of my job. And so I started a blog, and my best plan I could come up with, because I'm trying to replace a professional salary. It's not like I can go wait tables or cut my hours or go part-time or find something that would cover that income. So I had to, I came up with this idea that I'd become a writer. So I started a blog. I'm very passionate about green living and wanted to help. See, everybody's starting to scratch their head. They're starting to look around. It's long, isn't it? Seriously, this is what I used to do. So anyhow, fast forward a couple of months, I've been writing my blog, and I Lynn invited me to this oils class. And when I went, I didn't want to buy any oils. It was my secret plan to go in there, and I wanted to get to know Lynn and some of these other kind of crunchy moms better, so that maybe they would sometime help me, let me interview them for a blog post or something like that. And I went to the class. I'm on the phone with my sister. She's a massage therapist. She's like, Joyce, if you need some oils, I'll get you some oils from my discount website. You don't need to go buy oils from these classes. I don't even know why you're going. And I said, well, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm just going to go meet these moms, hang out with them a little bit. I never got to go to mom stuff. I was actually free that day. And so I said, I'm just going to go hang out and then I'll get out of there. She said, okay. So I went in there, and of course, Tracy Kennebeck was teaching the class. And this was Lynn's first class. She was hosting it. And, you know how it goes. I was super excited. The oils were very different from anything I'd used before. And I had to wait a week, but I ended up getting a kit. But Tracy offered that anybody who wanted, I was just excited about the oils. She said there was a business opportunity, and if anybody wanted to stay afterwards and hear more about it, she would hang out and tell us some stuff about it. So anyway, I jumped into the business, and I knew I was going to do the business right away. And I watched a ton of training videos. I spent the whole month of December. This was late November at this point. I watched a ton of training videos, got going on it. January, I started building and taught my first classes. And that was January of 2014. And the rest is history. So I don't know if it matters, but I hit platinum in June. And we're hopefully going for diamond by December, and it's been quite a journey, but it's been great. I was able to quit my job a couple months ago, and it's just been an awesome blessing for our family. So how long was that? About 8-10 minutes, 5 minutes at least? That was quite extensive. Did anybody get any powerful, how long? 15? 45? Yeah, sure. Pretty much. So there wasn't a lot of opportunity for an emotional connection there, was it? I mean, you kind of got the gist of it. I missed my daughter, but, she wanted to quit her job because she wanted to take care of her daughter. You could kind of read between the lines. So I'm going to do my best now to switch gears and try to share it in a way that I'm evolving based on what I've been learning. So my doTERRA story really started about 3 years ago. I had a little girl, and her name is Ella, and she was super sweet. And at the time, I was working in a very stressful job and just really having a hard time keeping things together. She wasn't sleeping through the night, and I was traveling for my job, working 40 to 50 hours a week. And she was in daycare for 50 hours a week between my schedule and my husband's schedule. And so, I love my job. I love my career. I worked so hard to get there. And I didn't know how I was going to feel after she was born. I didn't know that it was going to physically be that difficult to leave her with somebody else 50 hours a week. And in the beginning, they tell you, oh, it's going to get better. It'll get easier. And the time went by and it didn't get any easier. And so over about 18 months, in September of 2013, I found myself, I woke up, it was a Sunday morning, and I was so happy. I was overjoyed because we had sold our house. I had dreamed that we had sold our house and that we were going to have a lower house payment. And maybe this was it. Maybe this was the way that I could cut our bills down enough that I could go part-time in my job. And I rolled over so excited, and I told my husband, we sold the house. We sold the house. And he looked at me, and there was a pause. And then he said, are you kidding me? And I woke up. We hadn't sold the house. In fact, we hadn't even talked about selling the house. It had all been a dream. And my husband looked at me, and it was a very powerful moment for us in our relationship, because he didn't realize how deep it was for me to need to make a change. And I told him, I don't know how much longer I can do this. This isn't getting any better. It's not getting any better. She was 18 months at the time, or coming up on 18 months. And she was crying because she didn't want to go to daycare. And I was crying because I didn't want to take her to daycare. And so fortunately, I was on my knees every day praying for a way out of my job, a job that I loved and worked so hard for and had built a lifestyle around. And now here I needed a way out of that lifestyle, and there was no way that I could find. And so someone invited me to an oils class, and I went, not even expecting to purchase oils, let alone anything different. And I was blessed with an opportunity and oils that I loved, that worked so well for me and my family. They helped me to promote Ella's sleep and got her to a place where she was sleeping through the night, which was lovely for me and her. And they helped me to be better at my job so that I could be more focused and intelligent at work. I was super important. I did a lot of data crunching, technical writing. I needed to be able to get to work even when I was sleep deprived and be intelligent. And doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality Pack helped me reach that point. And then I was also blessed with this wonderful business opportunity that allowed me to put all of my hard work and effort that I was already doing for another company into my own business. And it allowed that to grow. And so 18 months later, not only is Ella no longer in daycare, but I've been able to leave my job. And in another, hopefully 6 months to a year, I might even possibly be able to free my husband from his job so that we can raise our family together and do all the things that we've always wanted to do together. So that's what doTERRA offers me, was the opportunity for freedom to find a way out of this situation that was so painful for me. So anyhow, that's my talk. I'm still evolving that. I'm going to continue to practice it. In fact, I'll be watching this recording later so that I can listen to it and see what's working and not working and all that sort of thing. But do you guys see the difference there? I mean, hopefully you felt the emotional difference. And I think the timing, I still went a little bit longer than I need to. I know I need to cut it back, but and I'll continue to work on that. But do you guys want to unmute yourselves? I'd love to hear some feedback and any questions that you have, anything like that.
That was incredible.
Awesome.
The difference in the two stories was incredible. Yeah. It was very, very, very good.
It's chronological versus experiential. That's what I was trying to convey.
Yeah. It was way more of a connection. It was really good.
Does anybody else have questions or?
I'll just let you guys unmute yourselves individually, because if I unmute you all at the same time, it's going to be total chaos.
Yes.
Hi, it's Joanna.
Hey, Joanna.
Be interested in doing the group with you for the Toastmaster type group of listening and giving each other feedback. Do you have anything set up yet, or is that something that?
No, we're in the process of reaching out to the people from the group and finding everybody. So as soon as we get everybody, we'll create the Facebook group, and then we'll move on from there and come up with a plan. So, but yeah, you're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'd also like to be in the group. Iris Doolittle.
Hi.
Hello there. So keep me on the line too, okay?
Okay. You know what we might do is I'll create a thread in the event, and then anybody that wants to be interested or is interested in the Zoom chat events, you can link me there. I'll friend you, and then I'll know to add you.
And it's wonderful. Just in the few days that you've changed it, your story is so much, it touches me. It really does. So you're doing great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I have to admit, the Toastmasters, I don't know, I'm probably showing my age, but when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, we did that speech class stuff where you had to get up, and it was traumatizing for me. So when I think of Toastmasters, that's what I think of. So I think it's amazing. And Tracy actually talked about Toastmasters a long time ago, and I think that she did it as well. So that is totally a stretch for me. So I think all of us would benefit from that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, he said, there was a quote in there and I didn't include it in my notes, but it was something along the lines of, do you have the willingness to go through the suffering that it's going to take for you to get to the better skills? Because it is suffering. You're going to be uncomfortable. I mean, it is uncomfortable, but it's wonderful at the same time. So
yeah, I'm uncomfortable just thinking about it.
You're growing already.
Yeah, I know. I need my oils.
I used a lot of oils while I was down there.
I bet you did.
What I was noticing about the difference between the two stories, kind of going back to that, was the second one, you mentioned specific experiences that were so emotional, and experiences really that like we could relate with, or different ones would relate with. Maybe not everyone relates with everyone, but different moments. And it takes time when we're looking at our story to find those moments that maybe in your first story you didn't even mention most of those emotional experiences because they didn't seem important perhaps to the story, but those emotions were important, and it takes time.
And a lot of those chronological details I didn't need. They don't need to hear every little step of the way. They really, what the audience needs to hear are those emotional points and a few facts sprinkled in. So I agree with you. The exercises that he gave me were really helpful for helping you, because it's a process that you have to go through. For public speakers, you're looking for your own message. So what is your message? But it's still true even as a leader, to find out what is your message as far as your story is concerned. What message is it you're trying to convey to people? And so maybe, and then whatever it is, hopefully you can bring it to that by the end of your story. And so, I tried to do that. And again, I'm so beginnerish. So Romy did not bring in an expert to talk to you guys tonight, but that I want people to know that there's a way out, that there's another option that works very well. And also taking in those little details, like many of us, we pride ourselves on being really hard workers. And so I want to be able to mention little things that taking that hard work that I was already putting into this job and directing that into my own business. So there's little things that bring an emotional response out of people. And it doesn't even have to be the basic emotional things. There's little things there that are bringing them in, helping them see why and where you're going and what you did and all that. So, yeah.
And it communicates such an important message too, that it's not just easy. It's not like you just get in and do it and you have this business. It's work, and it's okay that it's work, because we can be hard workers.
Yes. Sorry about ant crawling on me. I'm like, what is going on? I'm waving my arms around. Okay. So, it might be helpful too. I can even try to post maybe, or come up with a way that I could give you a little summary of those exercises, because he puts you through those exercises on purpose, because it helps you look at your story and pull out those pivotal moments, he calls them, and also to, figure out what your message is and stuff like that. So I'll think about a way that I might be able to share some of that, because like you said, it's a bit of a process. So
I think that's a great idea, because it kind of goes back to the basics of one of the things that most leaders and people in network marketing talk about, is that it really is, it's your story that is going to sell. Your story is what's going to cause people to join you. They're going to join you, not your product and all of that. And that's one of the things that I noticed as you were sharing the second story, is that there was a lot of the detail in, like you say, that coming into doTERRA. But the second part of it was, it had the emotion and it had you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is, I think it's in all things that we're doing as we're moving forward, as we're with our leaders, and even some of the little programs and the incentives or the challenges or whatever. I think something like this would be really good to incorporate that into teaching people how to share their story, because that is the basics. If you can share your story in a really good way,
Mm-hmm.
that's huge.
Hey guys, this is Jack. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, Jack.
I kind of hijacked Tracy's iPad. Sorry about that. She took a call. Oh, she's running in here now.
What's he doing? What's he doing?
On the phone.
She's on the phone. Joyce, I was sitting here. She set down the iPad, and I was actually kind of getting caught up with my 9-to-5 stuff because I was on jury duty this weekend, so getting my thing together. And so I have to admit, I don't know the whole idea of the call, but I listened to the second story, and I hear people talking about their whys and developing their whys. And I have to admit, from kind of the guy's perspective, that emotional response that you had and what brought you to doTERRA and to share your story is kind of like, what brought me in for Tracy. Until she had that conversation with me, that real conversation of like, hey, this is real, this is what I'm feeling, I really wasn't on board. But once I saw her emotion and once I saw her true feelings on it, it brought me in, and I realized that this is something. So my point is that it's not just a thing for you to give your why to people in classes. It's a thing for other people to develop for the other people in their lives, whether it's kids or husbands or things like that. So it's very important to develop that, I feel, and to really understand that. And I think you did a really good job of sharing that story, and just even hearing that kind of nightmare situation that you had, like, was wow. Like, I could imagine like being in that situation, and you and Tobias, I can't imagine what that was like, but I can appreciate, kind of that heartfelt, feeling that you guys had, and I appreciate that. I think that was cool, and it's good to share, and I think that's important for other people on your teams, especially, to see and to understand. So good job.
Thank you. That's a really good point, actually, because we do have some people on our teams, and I'm sure you all do too, that struggle with family support. And so maybe they're going at it the wrong way. Maybe and some people are never going to be supportive. So I'm not, but I think that sometimes if you can convey that emotional pain that you're in and how this is a solution that you're moving forward with and why, maybe that's a great point, Jack. That might be a powerful way to kind of at least get them to back off if they can't become supportive. So,
well, yeah, I mean, and to understand it, but I'm a big fan. Good job.
Thanks.
Could you maybe reference some of those books that you mentioned that you have, like on the event thing?
Yes, and I'm so happy to see you. This is Rosie, you guys. This is Rosie Pearson out of Montana. She's the TerraFit winner from earlier this year. One of my new elites. Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I totally didn't listen to what you said. I was just happy to see you.
I really struggle with group speaking, even for like my TerraFit classes. If I have more than 3 or 4 people here, my heart starts pounding and I shake, and it's all full of and it's awful. So I really need to be able to do the parties. One-on-ones are great, but man, that takes a long time.
So you're looking for some resources that might help you with that?
Yeah, I grew up singing in public, and so I was always out there and had no fear or anything, and now I just freeze. I don't know what happened, but I freeze.
Well, maybe we could work through some of these exercises. So maybe I'll get the exercises put together, and then maybe you and I could work with through those exercises together, and then we can come up with some ways for you to practice. I'm a huge fan, you guys. If you come up with, work through the exercises, come up with some things you want to say, and then I'm like a huge fan of practicing in the car. When I first started with doTERRA, I listened to a lot of audio YouTube stuff through the car and trainings in the car, and then I would practice saying things. Certified pure at therapeutic grade, certified pure at therapeutic grade. I could not say it to save my life. And so I would just say things out loud. So that might be an avenue for you. And I know in Montana, you get some driving time in sometimes. So maybe we can talk about that. But thank you. I'll try to come up with some resources for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could post those in the group, that'd be fantastic.
Okay.
I think that'll be definitely utilized.
And I think he did give a list of recommended books for reading that I had to leave a little bit early to catch my plane, but couple of the gals I made friends with, the one took scrupulous notes on her laptop, and she said she's going to send them to me. I just haven't gotten them yet. So I'll get you guys a reading list, and then I'll have those exercises for you as well.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah. All right.
All right. I am going to stop the recording, and then you guys can chat a little bit if you want to hang on, if Joyce has some time to do that, but I'll stop the recording so we can, everybody can go that needs to go. I just want to just take a minute quick and just tell you how much I appreciate you, how awesome I think you are. You just make my heart warm. And just to be able to take the time for all of us, I'm very, very grateful for you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, guys. I'm happy to be a part of the team and grateful for the opportunity to be able to talk and put myself out there. I was really nervous coming on here tonight, and easy for me to say I don't know enough yet, and I'm still figuring it out and all that. And then, that's the door that's open now. Pretty soon, you guys won't be able to get me to stop talking. So I'm excited and I'm grateful to be a part of this, and always happy to work with other people that want to do good things. So thank you.
Well, you're awesome. Thank you. And thank you, everybody that showed up. This was the attendance and the participation and everybody coming to listen to Joyce and honor her for being part of this and to share. I really appreciate everybody's participation. So you guys rock. So with that, we will say good night. Thank you very much.